Chair Powell will not really differ in his messaging versus what he said at the congressional testimony in late May. So he's going to paint a fairly bleak outlook for the economy. I think he's going to sound very cautious. We are not really expecting much in terms of further support for the economy. So we're not really expecting any more measures to come through. But we do think that he will maintain a very cautious, very careful tone about prospects of economic recovery, notwithstanding the strong payrolls report that we had on Friday. I think he's still going to sound quite cautious in interpreting that as a strength of or any indications of a V-shaped recovery.
Okay, and so what would that mean for the trend and the direction of the dollar, which is now making new lows on the side of weakness, given the fact that one is expecting more bearish calls to build on the dollar? What's your sense here?
Yeah, I think, dollar is clearly facing a much more challenging environment. I think the second half of the year is going to be a lot more challenging for the dollar. And I think a few things are happening here. One is markets have really held on to their long dollar, holding on the dollar for a really precautionary saving kind of attitude, given that in the last few months, market volatility was actually quite high. So the precautionary holdings of the U.S. dollar are at very high levels. So I think that is coming under stress as markets recover and economies come out of lockdown. People are getting more comfortable in reducing the amount of the U.S. dollar that they hold. From a fundamental point of view, very clearly, the fundamental support for the U.S. dollar has declined. If you look at the interest rate differential story, the Fed has obviously cut rates all the way down to zero. So the dollar doesn't really enjoy the interest rate support that it had for the last few years. And I think there's another theory which we'll find out if it gets confirmed, but markets are also now thinking in terms of U.S. elections probability and how that has changed with Trump's handling of the coronavirus and more recently with the riots in the U.S. There are some investors who are thinking more in terms of the U.S. election outcome and whether Biden is going to be the next president and if there could be a Democratic sweep. And if that's the case, if market starts to move towards that view, I think that's a very dollar negative story if that happens. So a few things are happening, but I do expect more dollar weakness in the months ahead.